This is one of my tips for saving electricity. We take a large frying pan, okay, and we put it in the tumble dryer. Put it in the tumble dryer for about an hour. I know it's a cost of the business first time round, but once it's been in the tumble dryer for an hour, it comes out that size. And that's only about 6 inches at most. So that is now a smaller frying pan, and it uses less heat. You know, if you're going to fry eggs or a little morsel of bacon or something like that, then you've got a much smaller frying pan as opposed to the big one. So that's the tip for electricity saving. If you've got electric cooker, if it's gas, you'll also save money. And if it's an open fire, you cook on outside, that will also save you fuel. The other tip I have for you is if you were to phone up one of your neighbours and ask them when they're next using their oven, and just say to them that you've bought a steak pie, and are they planning to cook anything like scones or something like that, you know, make scones. And if they're going to be using the lower shelf of the oven for scones, just ask them kindly if you can pop your steak pie in their top shelf while they're cooking. And that applies if you're maybe making toast and you've got an electric cooker and you don't want to put on the grill. Just phone one of your neighbours, maybe just phone several neighbours and say, are you intending to put on your grill in the next hour? And if they said that they were, what's it got to do with you anyway? Just say that you were wanting to have some toast, and would you mind if you pop over a couple of slices of bread and use their grill? That'll save you money as well. Another thing to do is, if you're in the house using electricity by having lights and stuff on, forget that and forget heating. Just turn up at a hotel, and I found that most hotels, unless you actually approach the reception staff at the hotel, they generally they don't make a fuss. So if you're sitting in the lobby reading a book or a newspaper, they just automatically assume that you're a guest or you've got some other purpose for being there. But what in fact you're actually doing is just sitting and using their heat and their lighting to read your favourite book or magazine, or just spend a few hours, maybe ask them for a cup of coffee, and that's about the only expenditure you'll have. They won't ask any questions, and you may well quite enjoy sitting in one of the relaxed chairs in the hotel foyer. So that's a couple of tips for saving money on electricity, or 3 tips altogether actually. You may also wish to contact your neighbours and tell them that you've lost your plug hole, the plug for your bath, and would you mind if you can nip over and use their hot water to have a bath, as you need one, and see what they say. And if they're quite happy to accommodate, then you've saved quite a bit of money on the immersion heating as well. Another tip that you can do in the worst of the winter weather, it's driving sleet or stormy conditions, and you can't really get out for a walk, and you don't want to be sitting in the house using heat and then electric for your lighting and stuff. If you get a good pair of stout walking boots, or even just flexible training shoes, and turn up at your local Aldi store or or even the B&M store. These are pretty large stores, and I mean, it could be any large retail outlet. But if you set your clock and say, I normally go for a walk for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. So if it's actually teeming down with the rain, just maybe get yourself a pedometer just to measure out the number of steps or the mileage that you do. And if you walk around the store several times up and down all the aisles and round and round and round, and just make it look like you're looking for something. But if you spend maybe 45 minutes in Aldi, and then maybe 45 minutes in B&M, well, that's an hour and a half in the evening that you've saved on heating and electric for your lighting. And you've also got some exercise. Maybe not so much fresh air, but certainly you've managed to save a little bit money. So that's another tip for you. Another tip that I think is probably worth mentioning too is, depending on the heating source you have in the house during the cold winter, why not celebrate Guy Fawkes Night every single night of the winter? Maybe starting on the 1st of October and ending on the 1st of April, for example. And all you need to do is, sit outside with a large fire. So you've got the heat source, and you've got no problem with any lighting, because there's enough light comes off a roaring fire in your garden. And you could also maybe take out a chair from your house, and if it's not too chilly, you could sit under a street light and read a few chapters of your novel, for example. And that's another money-saving tip to save electricity and fuel for your heating. And finally, there will be an expense, an extra expense for lots of people this coming winter because of the rise in fuel prices. So what I suggest you do is maybe get yourself a couple of extra boxes of man-sized tissues, these big boxes of handkerchiefs, and keep them aside for when the postman comes to deliver your electric bill. And that way you don't have to get your sleeve of your top all grotty with your tears and snotters and stuff like that, when you get upset about the size of your electric bill. So if you just use these tissues, because I dare say that there'll be quite a run on and demand on these tissues when the bills start to come out. So if you think ahead, you'll be able to save a few pennies there as well, and that can always help to go toward the electric bill.